Hi, everybody. It's Mike Gormley, and this is the Mike Gormley Show. It's great to see you and be with you. Susannah B is our guest today, and she's been telling us some great stories. But we just heard you don't do cover versions very often, and yet you just did a Billy Joel cover version we heard on the way back in, right?
Yeah, I love doing covers actually. I have more in my back pocket, but because I'm also working to introduce my own self to the world musically, I'm kind of s- being, sparing about how I put them out. But yeah, I love Vienna. It was one of my favorite songs from when I was very young, and to me it always symbolized New York. Just kind of like the ambition, the speed, the intensity of New York. Slow down, you crazy child. You're so ambitious for a juvenile. That's the opening lines. And I was ambitious as a juvenile, and I just really related to that song. I did a cover of it on one of my albums in I don't know, about 15 years ago or so. And then I wanted to do it again. I wanted to redo it because I still felt like there were things I wanted to work on. And so
Billy Joel is
I
so
like that.
Billy
That
Joel sold New York. It's unbelievable.
Oh yeah, completely.
Yeah.
I've seen him live a number of times, and someday I hope he can hear that version. I love it a lot.
Well, I don't know how to get it to him, but
I don't either.
somehow there's a
Maybe
way.
some listener does. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
right.
Billy.
I'm I actually met him a couple of times. He's a very nice guy. I'm sure he'd listen to it at least.
Yeah.
But so t tell us, you're working with Mike or Michael Farrell, producing, but also it sounds like kind of a partnership of some sort. Is that right?
Yeah, it is. I mean, initially I met him just as a musician, and he was working with me that way. And then as I turned to him more as a co-producer and said, "Hey, I want to look at these older songs and kind of do a compilation of these older songs of mine, or it's not older, but over the course of the last 10, 15 years." And so we did that last year, and that album is called POV and is out there, and that's the one that we re-recorded, rewrote, rearranged songs and did them with this new band. And he's just been really great. We've also started to write songs together now. So some of
Mm.
these new ones coming out were written together. I always do the lyrics pretty much. I always I start with titles. That's kind of how I like to work. It's sort
I've
of
noticed that. You got
pop
some really cool
songwriting
titles.
thing. Thank
Yeah.
you. I just like to start that way because then I kind of know what the song is about and I know what the hook is and I can kind of
Sure.
start figuring that out melodically or rhythmically. Um, but Mike is a wonderful sounding board and he'll give um, constructive comments or suggestions or whatever. He's just great and he's the nicest guy. I was just spent the whole day with him yesterday in the studio finishing a new song and I'm just really pleased.
Well, you mentioned his work with Alanis Morissette, but goes back to Macy Gray and
Yes.
for quite a while with Morrissey, and
Yeah.
they're not your regular singer-songwriter. Those are very creative people, and for him to keep
Yes.
up with them is a note in his favor right away.
Yeah. No, he's had an incredible background and he happens to work on American Idol as well. He's one of the
Oh,
associate music directors on that show and has worked on that show for, a dozen years or more.
great.
So he works all the time. He's really busy. He's so experienced and just continually the most generous, great guy. He's coming over in a couple of hours and we're
Uh,
gonna work on some new songs because I'm releasing this new compilation for 2025. I don't have a title yet, but releasing it song by song and then it'll all add up in
I think that's a good idea. I think
yeah,
nowadays that's a good idea. It's
it's kind of how people do
everybody
it.
with a full album. There's so much out there. Give them a chance to catch up to you.
Yeah. I mean, I think, artists who are really big like Taylor Swift, that makes sense for them to drop an album, but for those of us who are, kind of each song we're trying to get people's attention, it seems like one by one is the way to go.
Mhm. Fantastic. It's
Mhm.
great approach you have.
Thank
I
you.
was going to say, no, I've been listening to your music. It's really very good. I don't know what genre you put it under, but it does have its own flavor. Do you ever step out in another? Now you're going to do your mom's music. That's stepping out. But do
Yep.
you ever just so I'm gonna try this. It's got absolutely nothing to do with me up till now.
Yes, I have done that. Like I said, I did a jazz album
All right.
back in 2020 that was the music of Alec Wilder, who was a big, who was a jazz composer, well, like sort of hybrid jazz pop composer in the 40s and 50s. And he was just very eccentric, very, very unusual, and happened to be really good friends with Frank Sinatra and Peggy Lee and Tony Bennett. And so he would write songs for his friends, and then Peggy Lee would record it, and it would be a hit. So he had a number of hits, but he also had a lot of strange, um, small, niche composing ventures that he did that combined kind of classical and jazz elements. And
Uh-huh.
so, anyway, I did a whole project and album of his stuff. But after the pandemic, I had just been about to tour that, and then the pandemic happened. And when we came out of the pandemic, I was like, I don't know that post pandemic, I really want to tour the country doing an older white guys songs. No offense to older white guys, but like maybe there are other people who need their songs played more. I don't know. There was just a part of me that felt a little bit self-conscious of that. And then I felt like, you know what? I think I would rather have my own songs out there than Alex, even though I loved Alec and was obviously influenced by him. But anyway, that's what sort of turned me back towards my own stuff.
Some of your songs have a R&B flavor to them, have a
Yeah.
they get kind of funky actually.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel like there are definitely elements of, bluesy, funky, jazzy touches here and there. Yeah, I always just have responded to groove. I pretty much always start with like, what's the groove? And
Uh-huh.
I like a beat. I like a beat that kind of gets me to tap my toe. And not necessarily every song I'm gonna get you up on the
Sure.
dance floor, but you might want to move your body while you're listening to the songs or I always imagine people moving to my songs either exercise wise or someone told me my music is really good to do Pilates too. I was like, okay,
All
great.
right, that's good.
Or housework or whatever it is. But
So
yeah,
what would people do to we're gonna hear your single. We're gonna play the whole darn thing. Uh,
Mm.
but and I don't want to know what's its genre? What's its uh,
I mean, these are all adult contemporary, I guess.
okay.
Kind of in the a modern day, Carly Simon, Bonnie Raitt, Maggie Rogers, like in there somewhere. Cheryl Crow is someone I've been influenced by, certainly. I Don't Want to Know is a song I was just kind of fooling around on the ukulele, actually, and I was just playing, I don't know, this little chord thing that I was playing, and I just kept singing, I don't want to know, I don't want to know, I don't want to know. And my head was saying, well, you should write a song about something different, like come up with a different line. And then the other part of me said, well, wait a second, what don't you want to know? Like what is that line? Why are you singing that? And it really came up to, I don't want to know the headlines today. Like, can you just don't tell me the news? And the first couple lines of the song are, well, we'll hear them, but it's basically a song about kind of where we are right now, where I think a lot of people are, certainly where I am, a sense of overwhelm, which is almost constant, a sense of just being so bombarded by all that we are bombarded by, the headlines and the social media, and just the fact that we're all connected globally in a way that we've never ever been before. I just think it's important to take breaks, and to rest. And I said to Mike at one point, like I said, I feel weird writing a song where I'm like, am I telling people to stick their head in the sand and to like not pay attention? That's not probably very responsible. And he said, well, Alanis writes songs that are kind of not always quote unquote politically correct. Like
Yeah,
you write from your heart. And he said, I think that's the courageous part of it. So
that's an
I did. I wrote about
important factor.
how I just sometimes I can't hear. Don't tell me I'm going to explode. Like I need to just close my eyes sometimes. And I also happen to be a person who wants to be and is, active in charitable ventures and politically. But like I said, this song is about one of those
Take
days.
a break.
Like
Take a
take
break
a break.
here.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a listen to I Don't Want to Know, and we will then be saying goodbye to Susannah. We're going to move on to that with that song. Great to
Okay.
have you here today. Great to hear your music and great to hear your stories.
Thank you,
And
Mike.
keep us aware of what's going on.
Thank you. Thank you. It was really great to be here. And yeah, check out I'm on Instagram at Susannah B Music, and you'll probably have all those links and things like that. But
Well, tell everybody.
okay, well, I mean, I spell my name, Susannah, in the old-fashioned biblical way, which is Susann and then AH at the end. And then there's B, Susannah B. And Susannah B Music is on all streaming platforms on YouTube and Apple and Pandora and Spotify and all that. And yeah, check it out.
All right. Well, take a listen to this song. But before we go, I want to thank our producer, Jeremiah Higgins, and our engineer,
Thanks,
Grant
Jeremiah.
Palmer. Uh, Thanks to Music Connection Magazine, who support us. And you can listen to us on Spotify and Apple and places like that, and eventually on YouTube. And there's radio stations listed. So there's lots of music. There's great conversation, as you just heard. And we'll see you again next time around. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Mike. Take care.